Hey, what's up, everyone? This is at&t. Dressed a little different because it is hot as fuck. We've been getting a lot of rain, and the past week, it's been in the fucking 90s, and it's just we had a really bad storm. In fact, I'm friends with Randall or Cardinal Virtues on Facebook, and he said something. I believe he lives in more towards the East Coast, and apparently they got hit with storms. We did too. There are tons of fucking people without power, and it's been hot as fuck. So I'm going to a fucking small shirt, and I may look thin as fuck. I don't know. Hopefully I do. I'm trying to get back down to my senior year of high school weight, which is about 120 pounds. But anyway, that's a joke. But I figured I'd do this video about politics. And again, I know. Yeah, I do political videos all the fucking time, but it seems like a lot of people do enjoy them. So, and if you don't, I don't give a fuck. Unsubscribe or whatever. I don't care. Today I was at work, and I was working with a guy who I worked with before, and for the most part I get along with him, just fine. He's he's kind of the opposite of me in a few ways. We're the same age. I'm like a few months older than him, but he's a Christian, which is fine. We really don't talk about religion. I think it's come up a couple of times. Nothing that we really got into a debate over, because that's not really what I do, especially lately, because it's fucking pointless. I'm not going to try to deconvert him. And he's also a conservative. I believe he's a registered Republican. I know he votes Republican. But we were talking today, and, here's just something I want to bring up real quick, because this does, play a role. In the past, we said something about Fox. One of us said something about Fox News, and I said, well, I don't like them because, well, all they do is, throw a right-wing spin on everything. And he was like, well, that's kind of why I like them. Which kind of fucks me up, because I used to work with another guy, and he was kind of a dyed-in-the-wool fucking, conservative Christian Republican. However, he was more the fucking real deal. He more or less a libertarian. He thought we should get rid of Social Security, we should get rid of Medicare, and government should just basically provide the bare fucking essentials that we need. And, so we kind of butted, I would say we slightly butted heads. I mean, we would have somewhat heated debates from time to time. However, we really respected each other, because, it's well, we disagree. It's not that, the other person is an idiot. It's just that we disagree. He has different ideas on, what the government should do. And there you go. And I thought that was great. But he said, like I said, this guy is, he's a registered Republican. I'm not sure if he voted for McCain. I believe he did. But, he doesn't like Obama. But when he and I, this guy named Luke, when we were talking about it, he said he doesn't like Fox News. And I was actually kind of interested. I'm like, really? You don't? He was like, no. And I asked him why. And he said, well, because the people who watch Fox News generally say, MSNBC, CNN, the major news sources, they have a left-wing bias. However, right has the, Fox has the same fucking bias, but on the right. And I was like, oh, really? You think that? He was like, yeah. And he said, if you really want to get your fucking news straight, you want to get a no bullshit story, this is the way it is, we're just reporting the shit as it happens. Either watch the BBC or C-SPAN, and with C-SPAN, if a politician says something, go look it up. Go look up and see, if they're really telling the truth, or if they're just trying to fucking scare you. And that comes from the left and the right. And I thought that was very fucking cool of him to say that. But anyway, the other guy that I work with currently, his name's JJ. Like I said, he watches Fox News, but we got onto the subject of socialism. And he was like, I really don't even know what socialism is, which kind of fucks me up. And I kind of explained to it, I kind of explained to him in a nutshell, what socialism is. It's kind of taking the best parts of communism, because communism does have some good fucking points. Whether you're on the left or the right, most likely you're going to agree with a couple of things in communism. And, I mean, I don't agree with communism. I think humans are just way too fucked up for it to work. But on that same note, capitalism works, very well in certain ways too. And, kind of combining the two, I think does work in some ways. In other ways, I don't think it does. I think, the left can be wrong on a lot of shit. In fact, I think I caught some flack for that. But I explained to him, and, like, here's a good example. Like, he said the phone companies, and I said, yeah, good point. Now, for the people who are around my age, I'm 27, maybe a little bit younger, and I definitely know older people are going to know what the fuck I'm talking about. Phones. That's a good example, and I'm glad he brought that up, because Ma Bell. I remember when Ma Bell was, the phone company, and I knew, tons of people. Their parents worked for Ohio Bell, since I grew up in Ohio, and, for the most part, certain things with phones, that was a costly fucking luxury. I mean, just having a phone was fine. But, long distance, that was a fucking super costly luxury. And I don't know if that's because the technology, and there's going to be a few points with the phone thing. I don't know if it was because the technology just wasn't there yet. Like, here's a good example, regarding phones. Recently, my father-in-law asked me if I wanted to be part of the family plan that he pays for it. So it's him, my mother-in-law, my sister-in-law, my wife, and now me. And I said, yeah, and I was not able to get a phone until, I think it was this past May. I couldn't get a new phone because that was what the fucking contract said. So I was getting, like, some of the hand-me-down phones, which was fine. I rarely use fucking cell phones as it is. I kind of want a smartphone, but I'm not, like, dying to have one. If I get one, that's fucking great, but it's not something that I really view, that I would, like, need or that I would be using on a regular fucking basis. And that is one thing that pisses me the fuck off. Just seeing kids adults just, like, walking with their fucking phones constantly. It's like, God damn it, is your phone that fucking important to you? And some people, I understand that. But other people, no. Especially kids. What the fuck are you talking to your friends about? Are you having fucking heated political debates? Or, philosophical debates? Fuck no. What are you talking about? The cartoon that you just watched? Anyway, so I was getting some of the hand-me-down phones, and because they were hand-me-down, they were, fucking up. The batteries were going out. But my father-in-law gave me one of his old phones, which was an LG Chocolate, if you guys remember those. And I remember seeing the commercials, and I was like, well, that looks like a pretty cool phone. And at the time, I worked at a different location as... from where I'm working now, and this girl, she was probably about 18 or 19, she saw this, she's like, oh my god, well, my friend had one, I thought that was the coolest thing ever, when I was, like, in middle school. So, maybe the technology just wasn't there with certain things, like long-distance calls, because obviously the technology has gotten a lot fucking better. However, that being said, it could be because companies like Bell, they were stifling innovation. They were the only fucking game in town. There's a few examples of that. You can really look at it. Walmart, since, they really... I read a story, and how true this is, I should have looked this up. But I read a story that the reason that Walmart was able to become so successful was because they only opened stores in areas that were outside of city limits, and they didn't have to pay, because of the loophole in the law, minimum wage to their employees, which... when I read that, I'm like, oh my god, I remember when Walmart used to be only in the fucking little shitty towns. They were never in the fucking big cities like they are now. This is back when I was a kid. Now, they're a hell of a lot more successful, even though it seems like fewer and fewer people go there. But, it seems like Bell... And then another example is Domino's Pizza. Like, now they're trying to reinvent themselves. But for the longest time, they were one of the only places that fucking delivered. Pizza Hut, they didn't really deliver. They're more, sit-down restaurant. Then they started to deliver. They're kind of going away from the sit-down shit. Even though there are still a few of those that remain. But, Domino's, they were the only fucking game in town. So, if you didn't like the way it tasted, well, then you could fucking get up off your ass and drive and get it. Or you can go and sit down somewhere and have your pizza. If you'd rather be at home, well... you're SOL and JWF. Shit out of luck and jolly well fucked. So, it could also be because of that, because I did read something about Ma Bell. They owned all the lines, all the telephone lines, and if there was a competitor, well, it's like, well, you have to go through our lines. And they would just price gouge the fuck out of these new companies. So, basically, they were fucked from the get-go. They could not... And by the way, if I'm wrong about any of this, you guys can correct me in a video response or in comments. Like I said, I'm not saying this 100% fact, but I've read this shit. But Ma Bell would basically fuck over their competition, like, oh, well, we have to charge you for this and this and this and maintenance and blah, blah, blah. Whatever bullshit they can come up with. Well, the government, eventually was like, okay, you know what? You're a fucking monopoly. People cannot afford phones anymore, and it's bullshit. This should just be a basic commodity. It's like starting, I believe it was around the early 90s, or it was probably more like 80s. You had more companies. You had at&t, Ameritech, a few other ones, which, I really don't hear their names anymore. And there was something, like, especially now, like, when I'm thinking back on it, it's weird. And it seems like anytime I bring this up to people around my age, they're like, oh my god, you're right. What about all the 1-800-COLLECT, or, all the collect call things? Like, it's only 10 cents a minute, for a collect call, for long distance and shit. It's cheap for you, easy for you, cheap for them, whatever. You don't see that shit anymore. Because, well, the monopolies were broken up from what I've read. And I think that's a good thing. And, anyway, off the fucking phone point. That took way too fucking long. When I was planning this in my head, it didn't take that fucking long. But the thing that fucks me up is, like, this guy, he was, like, it looked like he was almost like, fuck, I kind of agree with that. We really didn't get a chance to talk more about it. Because, things start picking up. We do work fucking retail, after all. So, once customers come up, you kind of gotta, and then, of course, your mind drifts and you talk about other things. But the thing that fucks me up is he watches Fox News. So, of course, he's going to hear words like socialist or socialism. And, and this really fucks me up. I really hate this, and I've addressed this before. It's the same when, the right says Obama's like fucking Hitler, or he's like a Nazi. Glenn Beck tried that shit. Many other people have, too. Just put in a Google image search, Obama, Hitler, and just look at how many fucking pictures you can find. I put some in a video, and that was just a few. That was just a couple small fucking examples. You can see tons of that shit. But it also does come from the left. When they say, Bush was like Hitler. No, he wasn't. The Republicans are like the Nazis. No, they're not. But for a guy to watch Fox News, and he basically admitted it's because, like, they're more along his political ideology. But he didn't know what socialism is. Either he was, like, bullshitting me, and he was trying to box me in and, like, trying to trap me, and, like, oh, see, I got you there. When, I'm not the smartest motherfucker around, but I know, some shit. Or he really did not know. And that really fucks me up. It's like, you're going to listen to these channels and not even look into what they're saying. Like, sometimes, yes, they know what the fuck they're talking about. Like, Shep Smith. I'm actually shocked that motherfucker still has a job at Fox News. I really am. Because, he has kind of called out the bullshit bias that has, been on his show. And I think that's great. He's still conservative from what I've seen, but he at least tries to be fair, and I think that's great, and I think that's, that shows integrity on his fucking part. And, you also see this shit on, the liberal stations, MSNBC, you hear shit, people like Michael Moore, they piss me off because, I'm sorry, but they do fucking lie. They do make shit up sometimes, and I think that's wrong. We don't need to be making shit up. If something is right, it's fucking right. If something is wrong, it's fucking wrong. Use the facts to back you up. You don't have to mislead people. But this whole... and I really don't even know what to call it. I was trying to think of something clever here, something to call, but I can't. But it just fucks me up that it's like, oh yeah, Obama's a socialist. Yeah, he's a socialist. Well, what is socialism? People like Obama? No! If Obama's a socialist, then I don't know what the fuck you would call me. I guess I would be a fucking way far left-wing communist. And I'm not. And I'm not even that much of I am kind of a socialist in a lot of ways, but in other ways I'm not. I've said before, I believe in socialistic ideals, but not wholesale. Some things I'm like, nah, I don't agree with that. But it fucks me up that this is what people are doing now. They hear these just shock words. They hear them. Atheist, Nazi, communist, socialist, poor uprising, class warfare. They hear this shit. And then they run with it. they have no idea what the fuck they're talking about. But then again, I mean, you can look at, these teabagger rallies, and, when these people are asking, it's like, so do you think Obama's a terrorist? Yeah. Well, why do you think that? Look at the bloodline. Oh, okay. He's half black, half white. I really don't see a fucking connection here. In fact, that one fucking idiot, I don't even think I ever said his name. It's like Lagrancis Care or something like that. And I think I did at least one. I know I did at least one video about the fucking idiot. But, he tried to say, Obama's mother was an atheist, but his father was a Muslim. Even though I had to explain to this fucking idiot, even though he's a waste of time. And I don't even know why I waste my fucking breath. But I'm like, no. His father was born into Islam, left it, became an atheist. His mother, Christian. That's why Obama, because he really didn't know his father, was raised a Christian. His mom, who raised him, fucking Christian. There you go. But, he didn't want any fucking part of that. But then again, he is one of these fucking idiots on the right who, they hear what they want to fucking hear. Yeah, I mean, and by the way, I'm not just attacking the fucking right. There are people on the left that do that too, in all fairness, because I want to be fucking fair as much as I can. But I just thought that was really shitty that, someone who watches Fox News, and they admit it, and they admit why they fucking watch it. They watch it because it agrees with their fucking ideology. Don't look up what they're talking about. Don't, be informed of the issues or informed of what, certain, schools of thought have to offer or what they believe. But, yeah, it just, that really fucks me up. I just don't, I will not ever fucking understand that. I won't. I will not understand how people can, they can just buy into this shit. Oh, yeah, that's true, right? No, there's fucking nuance. You can look into this shit and see if it is true. But anyway, kind of a sloppy video, but I haven't made one in a while, I think in a couple weeks. And hopefully I'll have some more coming up here soon. There were a couple issues I was going to do videos on, but I just decided to stay out of the shit. Some of it was, more drama and, something that, other people had, put their 2 cents into, and some that I had no fucking part of, so why even, put myself into it. But anyway, this is Bad 5, and I'll see you guys next video.